Hi everyone, my name is John Gower and this is my final presentation for 3D printing and 21st century learners, my EDIM516 class. So I'm sure many of you know what 3D printing is, at least on the basic level, and maybe even have been able to use 3D printers in the classroom. But what is the benefit of using the 3D printer in the classroom, and how can we as educators create a system in which we are using 3D printers to improve student learning? So one of the first things I want to talk about, though, is why is 3D printing not used as much as other tools in the classroom? Now, I will say I think it is getting better, and more districts are beginning to see the benefits of 3D printing. I found an article on edtechnology.co.uk. So yes, it is in the United Kingdom, called "Overcoming the Barriers to 3D Printing in the Classroom." And part of the article, it talks about a survey done by Wysoft, and it says, quote, "Through this research, we discovered that an overwhelmingly 87% of educators are restricting student access to 3D printers." Now, part of that is due to the long time to creating something on the printer as opposed to just printing a page on a regular paper printer, and what the students might want to print, especially is it educational worthy and whatnot. But also, a third of educators cite an understanding of what 3D printing can do in the curriculum as a challenge. And part of this challenge is the cost being too high, underutilization of the printers, and instructors themselves understanding how 3D printers can enhance their curriculum, which of course we can see as being a massive problem if the educator doesn't see the benefit that the students are having. I also found an article on the budget and policy, or Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, about punishing decade for school funding here in America. And this article states something very, very pertinent to the problems we see in many of our districts. Most states cut school funding after the recession hit in 2008, and it took years for states to restore their funding to pre-recession levels. In fact, in 2015, the latest year for which comprehensive spending data are available from the U.S. Census Bureau, 29 states were still providing less school funding per student than they were in 2008. And of course, that leads to the obvious that the center publishes here in that article, which is, "Our country's future depends heavily on the quality of its schools. Increasing financial support can help K-12 schools implement proven reforms such as hiring and retaining excellent teachers, reducing class sizes, and expanding the availability of high-quality early education." And part of that is having high-quality technology that, once again, that previous article states, right? Having that knowledge, enhancing the curriculum for the students. And here in this slide here, we can see about the benefits of revolutionizing the classroom by use of 3D printers. And if we can look through all of these little graphics here, we see that you can use 3D printing throughout the curriculum, right? I think that's important because I think too often people see 3D printing as solely a STEM or STEAM, or again in my school, STREAM tool, where it's only really being used in those disciplines. But it's something that's highly beneficial to all students in all classrooms. Okay, and here are some of those benefits, right? Creating inventors, having students critically think and developing ideas and how they could better improve on certain products, ideas, societal needs, right? And bringing art back. Instead of having it being on paper, a student can digitally create some kind of artistic thing, and they can print it out then. Engaging those reluctant learners, right? And I think this is great because it has a great quote here from Robin McGinnis, who I was able to have the fortune of interviewing as my expert on the topic, as she was able to run with 3D printing in her school and now is heading the use and implementation of this technology throughout her entire district. Responsible digital citizenship, always necessary. Making things hands-on, right? Not just having kids read about something, learn about something, watch videos on something, but doing. And I think that's something that's very beneficial to a lot of students. And then, of course, building that school camaraderie. And last, solving real-world problems. Success, failure. How can you learn from what you did right and wrong? And what can you use what you're learning in school implementing it in the world and not just saying, oh, well, it's only for school. So I found here on Singularity Hub a great benefit of 3D printing is the medical research into 3D printing organs. And in the article, they discussed the use of bioprinters, which function much the same as 3D printers. And they began to be using them in medical research to develop organs and tissues. One of the drawbacks, though, of course, is trying to keep the funding going and keep the research open. And one of the biggest problems with the research is continuing to develop everything to function through this system, especially stuff like blood vessels. And that's something that a team at Rice University in Texas is doing right now to 3D print blood vessels to be able to produce the necessary results to keep these organs and tissues alive in the body and even outside of it as they're growing. And I always look at something like this and I think this is what hooks, while it's beneficial and it's enhancing the curriculum, this is what benefits that hook of getting a student to say, this is something for me. 3D printing isn't just about, printing out a little action figure or a coaster or something else, but saying, okay, how can I develop something that's going to help people, that's going to help my career, help my learning? And here we see a 3D print beating heart. Of course, early stages of the research. And I look at this cannon, and of course, it's a nice little cannon that you can put on a desk. But as a social studies teacher, this is something that I wanted to deal with, was how can you use, if you go back to that previous slide a little bit ago, how can you use 3D printing in all disciplines in the school? And I found a blog by Joe Welsh at the North Hills School District. He's a social studies teacher there, just outside of Pittsburgh, and he was able to, with his colleagues, get a STEAM grant, allowing their students to create history, designing and making historical landmarks, forts, and innovations that have played vital roles in American history. All right, they took this massive risk of taking the 3D printing and using it for their curriculum in social studies. All right, because one of his big things is, shouldn't these skills be integrated within classrooms throughout a student's school day rather than isolated to a single class designated in STEAM? And what he did was he didn't just have students or himself print out little cannons, little forts, little 3D maps, and so on. He had them design it, which is a huge part of this, as he was able to get them to design, go on this program, make sure everything was working correctly, and then print out the products. I also found this Youth Quest Foundation in Virginia, which deals with high-risk youths, very, very similar to my already adjudicated students and their benefits from using 3D printing and digital design in the classroom, and the ability to empower these students and learn critical thinking skills and problem-solving skills in the classroom. So here we see some of the Youth Quest Foundation students and teachers as they're working with their 3D printers, working with the programs, and of course posing with their designs and with their 3D printers proudly. What this really all comes down to is, what is the end game? What do we want with these 3D printers? As has been said many times in this presentation, we want to enhance the curriculum. We don't just want to print things out and say, oh, look, this looks cool, and then throw a 3D printed object into a bin for the next 5 months to be forgotten about. It's about taking what a student's learning, again in my class, learning about social studies, and applying that knowledge to, I think, the STEM courses and applying the STEM courses to my classroom, right? Developing how to design something like right here, the pyramids of Giza. How do you design that? How do you build that on the program? Relating that to how the builders designed it. And of course, just the satisfaction of going through the problems and the solving of the problems and creating something that the students can kind of own and say, I did this. And I think, again, that's going to enhance student desire after high school on what they want to do, building their skills, building their teamwork, building their interpersonal communication, and everything like that. And with that, I would like to say thank you so much for watching my presentation. Bye.